Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here to look at a Japanese green tea. Now, I often present a lot of Chinese greens, Chinese teas in general. Recently, I've also been going through several Darjeelings, so it's good to have a kind of a nice change of pace. And I'm using some kind of traditional orthodox equipment, but the bowl here is going to be a little bit unique. And I used it to kind of so that you can see better see what's going on. So traditional equipment, a nice sifter like this is handy. A whisk is very useful. A more traditional bamboo type spoon. Now with this, I'm going to get about, the recommendation that I've heard before is to get about the size of an almond. So that looks like a good amount right there. And I'm going to sift it. Actually, I prefer mine stronger, so I'm going to add a bit more. Actually, 2 almond sizes there, so it looks good. I know there are those out there who are saying no, that's either too much or too little, depending on which level, which extent you're trying to use. But that's what I'm going to be doing. So while I'm doing this, you'll see that I'm sifting this through to get it fine, to get it spread out over the bottom of my bowl. I poured my water, actually, while you don't see me getting water out like usual, I poured my water into my bowl first to warm up my bowl. Then I poured it into my pitcher here. So it's sitting there, it's cooling, so it's at a lower temperature now. Depending on who you ask, you're generally advised on temperatures like 160 to 180, somewhere in there, sometimes even lower. What I'm going to do now, I've got some clumps here that I'm going to just kind of break up. And as I'll do that, I also want to talk a little bit about this tea. This is from Aiya. This is their premium grade matcha. And you can get 30 grams available for $42.80 currently on the Aiya website, Aiya America. Their teas are grown their teas are grown hundreds of miles away from any areas, or I should say where the nuclear reactor problems in Japan were taking place. They test the purity, the radiation levels of their teas at least 3 times during the process, including the final production stages, so that you can know that they post those results. Those results are available upon request. So I've sifted it, got a little bit of finer dust, finer lumps that didn't get through. But what I hope you can see now, it's going to be a little bit more of the whisking process here. I'm going to slowly add my water, got my whisk ready, and I'm going to make just kind of back and forth type. I want to build up a froth. This is not the traditional bowl, like I said, which would be a little bit different in shape and possibly more conducive, because it's usually a thicker walled bowl. It holds its heat a little bit better, but this should be just fine. Some of those bowls are a little bit larger in size, but as I move along here and get more water in, I get more of a froth built up. Froth gives it a nice airy type texture, which is good. But there we are. So that what you see, well, I'm going to let that sit for just a moment. I need to go back and talk a little bit about this dry leaf. A nice light. There is a bit of a metallic type note here, but most of this is more of a greener, a green, very sweet pea and spinach type. Almost something, a light, almost chocolatey type note there. The sweetness of a nice chocolate. So that you can kind of see what's going on, I'm just going to kind of swirl this around, hold this up, and this is what you can see from the wet leaf. As far as colors go, I should also mention dry leaf. a good green color, a bit of a lighter yellow, a lighter green color in comparison to with some of the deeper, like a ceremonial grade, a higher grade. You can get a darker green, richer green color coming off of the powder, the dry leaf there. As far as our liquor here, still deep, rich, and a dark green in color. Thick. You can't see through it. It's not dull though. It's not murky. So I'm going to go ahead now and talk a little about the taste. Give it another shot here. Now, I do pick up some sweetness, but it hits more towards the back. What you're going to get more first is you're going to get a kind of a metallic type texture, like if you've been sucking on a mouthful of nickels. There's a little bit of a metallic element there. The astringency, it's present, and it's part of that kind of metallic type feel, but it's not overpowering. It's not too heavy, because you get this kind of powdery, cocoa powder texture is what I'm saying here. A light, powdery, drying kind of feel sitting on the mouth. Not harsh. Again, sweetness builds more in the aftertaste. It's gentler, it's subtle. Also in towards the middle and back, you get a little bit more of the vegetal type aspect. Think about more mature spinach leaves, a bit broader, a little bit more diluted in that fresh green aspect, as opposed to the baby spinach leaves you may find in salads. So it's a bit more of a mature, and then in that case, less intense spinach note there. There is something that's kind of, especially in the middle, underneath the sides of the tongue, a little bit kind of a salty sensation. It's not like, I wouldn't go so far to say as in some matchas, it is not a marine sea salty type of salty. It's a very light, thinner salty aspect. Okay. So, this tea, compared to other matchas, you can't compare it to a ceremonial grade. They're not the same grade. Compared to other ones that are kind of that premium grade area. Flavors are generally safe, not harsh, not that intense though either, not that rich and full either. Aftertaste, that metallic aspect. Aftertaste still builds up a little sweetness, like I said. Metallic aspect, it's present, it's not overwhelming, it's not overly harsh. The astringency there, again, there is some astringency, but it comes off as a nice powdery type of feel, interacting with or playing on the texture, a light salty element there, not as much of as a buttery aspect that sometimes is present. So I would give this tea, a 90. Nice positive qualities. It's like I said, nothing really off-putting. So there is some there. You could probably adjust if you want to pull out something of your own, lower the water volume, or adjust the amount of tea, the amount of matcha that you use to find that right mix, that right combination for you.